Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Vickers and I am the lead developer of SedPlot, which is an open source EEG processing and visualization tool that we've written for anesthesiologists, and particularly we've written it around the Masimo SedLine display, but it does work with any monitors that output EDF files for EEG data. And in this video, as part of our documentation, I wanted to show you how you would actually go about downloading data off of a Masimo SedLine. So just to quickly refer you to the documentation real quick, this is the Masimo SedLine user manual. You can find this online very easily. And here in the contents, you can see that as the time of recording, which is October 2025, there is a chapter on EEG download, which has all this information that you will want. So the first thing to note is that you need to enable data collection on the actual monitor itself. Once you enable this, it will start recording cases as you perform them. So follow these steps for actually enabling it, and you will see a little box that allows you to enable data collection. Something to note is they refer to the actual SedLine display as root, and that display, once data collection is enabled, will record up to 12 hours at a time of EEG data. And they will record that as one session. So a session is pretty much every time the monitor is turned on or off, or once you've had the monitor on for 12 straight hours. Once either of those are true, you've had one session. And it will record for the last 12 sessions, right? So if you just leave the monitor on, my understanding is that it will just show the last 6 days of EEG data in EDF files on the monitor, which is recorded. So that's something to note about these cases. So if you have an interesting case, you can always come back the next day and gather data off of it. But what I'm going to show you is how we actually go about getting the data off those monitors. And in order to do that, we have a USB drive. So I just have a blank USB drive. This holds about 32 or 64 gigabytes of data, which is more than enough than you need to download all of your EDF files. And all you have to do to set up your drive is to make sure that you have a folder called EDF on the USB stick. So I'm going to plug this directly in to my computer. So now I have my USB stick pulled up. It's called LexRD. And I'm just going to create a new folder right here. And it needs to be directly on the device. It cannot be inside another folder. It cannot be called anything other than EDF. Just like that. When you plug in this USB to the SedLine, it's going to look for a folder in in the root directory of this flash drive called EDF. So if you do not have this, it will not work. And currently I have my EDF folder being empty. But once you're done with that, you can just take your thumb drive with you to work, and anytime you have an interesting case, you can plug this directly onto the monitor. So we're going to show you what that looks like right now. Okay, we are here. I have a series of clips that are how you actually save data off these Masimo machines. So first of all, every Masimo machine is going to be a little different. So this particular model may differ from yours, but the first thing you want to do is identify where the USB port is, because that's where you're putting in your thumb drive. Some of them it's on the side of the machine. This is what the machine looks like while it's on. But for this particular model, the USB port's just in the back right here. And so you can see just inserting the flash drive directly into the port. You don't have to do anything else once your flash drive's good. And at the very top, you will see, it's kind of hard to see, this transferring EDF data has started text. That's going to be at the very top. And that's going to be playing the entire time your data is downloading. And it's going to take a few minutes in order for you to download all of your data. When it's done, you will get something that looks like this. Transferring EDF data is done. Let me stabilize real quick. So you will get the text, transferring EDF data is done, and that's how you know it's safe for you to take out the thumb drive. Depending on the amount of data and how large the data files are, that could take quite a while because the machine's got to process the data and put it into a new format. So it's not necessarily stored just like this. So just keep that in mind as you are downloading, that it could take several minutes. But you will just see this transferring EDF data is done text when everything has completed. And that's how you know you're safe to take your thumb drive out and get started. But I have all of the data now on this thumb drive. So once we have the thumb drive, we can simply just load it into our machine. So I'm going to plug this in. You'll see the same window comes up. I already know everything on this is safe. We still only have our EDF folder, but now inside that EDF folder is all of the EEG data that was stored off the machine. And in particular, it has one folder per session, and all of these folders are named in a very specific way. So I'm going to kind of elucidate that to make it a little easier to parse. All of the folders will start with root. Root is just what the machine calls itself, and then it follows by a number. And this is probably some unique identifier to the machine, some serial number, something like that. You can see all of these have the same number, but between machines they will be different. And then it's followed by what the machine thinks the date and time is. So you have to make sure that you have the correct date and time on your machine if you want this to be labeled correctly. But regardless, so it thinks that this top folder, it is set to 2021-10, which is October 23rd, and it started at 4 p.m., so 1600, and then 31 minutes and 35 seconds into the hour. So 4:31 on 2021, October 23rd. That's what this name indicates. And then you have one folder for every single session every time the machine was turned on and off. So if we just open one of these, you will see some EEG data where they are all labeled EEG. Again, they have some date identifier that just determines the date. So again, this folder thinks it's 2021 starting at December 8th, and it thinks that this first file is dated for 7 a.m. 28. All right, that's what all these files mean. So you have all of that. And generally, this is pretty much everything you need to start having your data. I thought it would be interesting to open some data with SedPlot just so you can kind of see and verify what's on there. So I have an older version of SedPlot available for Windows right here. So I will just unzip. This is a direct download off of our website. I would love to extract SedPlot right here. I will open SedPlot. The first thing, Windows will ask you if you're sure. I'm sure I want to run this anyways. And this little prompt will show up. This is more for debugging purposes. So if you have an error with SedPlot, you can send us this output data and just copy this directly within emails you see. And then here we go. We have SedPlot open. So let's select some input data now. So I'm in my Lexar EDF directory, and I was playing around with this earlier, so I know this third directory has some interesting data. And let's say I want to generate a video of the first two case files in this directory. So I'm going to open it, and my output's just going to be out.mp4. I'm saving it. Actually, let's save that to the desktop. So I'm saving it to my desktop in out.24. And I know that it's a little faster to render this around 720p. So just lowering the resolution makes it render a little faster. So yeah, as soon as I hit generate, I get some output. It's starting to save the animation, and my loading bar is progressing. So everything seems to be working well. I will check in with you in a second when this video is done rendering, and we can look at what's in the actual file. Great. So we have come back after things have finished, and I can actually just close out of SedPlot now. The app's closing, and we have our output file that I just saved to the desktop. So let's give this thing a whirl. Let me put this somewhere that my face isn't covering. But you can see this is the contents of what was actually in our EDF file. So this sort of looks like a patient that's awake or something, and they're probably going to get sedated throughout the course of this video. This EDF file had quite a lot of data. So yeah, looks like they were sedated right here, and there's something like propofol probably indicated by this line in the alpha beta region. And there you go. That is our data. That's how you get data off of these Masimo SedLine displays. And that's also how you can use SedPlot to quickly view some of the data if you just want to get your hands on it and make animations like this.